There is a truth older than the ages.
Hey, this is Pastor Frank with a follow-up to last Sunday's message. Last Sunday, we were in the Gospel of Luke in the 12th chapter, an amazing chapter in the ministry of Jesus, a beautiful slice of what his ministry was like right about in the middle of his 3-year ministry. In Luke chapter 12, it says that people are coming to Jesus by the thousands. It even says that they're trampling over one another to get to Jesus, coming to Jesus for miracles, coming to Jesus for healing, coming to Jesus to hear his teaching, coming to Jesus because they have questions of life that he's answering. And when you read the 12th chapter of Luke, Jesus is in deep conversation. He's talking about some really heavy stuff. And in the 13th chapter, or in the 13th verse, this dude interrupts Jesus from the crowd and says, "Will you please make a ruling between me and my brother over an inheritance?" And Jesus, I'd love to see his nonverbals, like totally out of the way this request comes. Jesus doesn't skip a beat. He doesn't get involved. He says, "Who made me an arbiter between you?" And then he begins to speak, which is so brilliant for Christ, a story. Jesus would use stories to drive home spiritual truth that would just silence a crowd. And here comes a public parable from Jesus to this man, speaking to his heart and to the crowd about greed. And Jesus says there was this rich man who got so wealthy, and all he did was say, "I want to build bigger barns and sit back and eat, drink, and be merry." And Jesus describes this really rich dude. And in the very end, Jesus says this guy's a fool in the eyes of God because he's going to die tonight. Everything he has, he's going to lose. And though he was rich towards things of the world, he's poor toward things of God. This man was a fool not because he had wealth. He was a fool on what he was doing with his wealth and how he viewed his wealth and life. He was selfish, he was materialistic, and he was a hedonist. Life's about me and my pleasure. And Jesus just looks at this and says, what a fool. It's an amazing parable that just silences the crowds then and today. For you and I, we need to always be looking at what is the purpose and meaning of my existence and why am I here? And is my pleasure the most important thing of life, or is serving Christ the most important thing of life? Are we rich towards things of heaven and earth, or just earth? You and I are wealthy people in Orange County, right? Compared to the world. But in the eyes of heaven, are we rich towards God? Wonderful, wonderful thought. And so stir that in this week. I hope you guys are having a great time in small groups and growth groups. This Sunday after church, we're going to be having our growth group celebration luncheon. And in that, we're going to be talking about people sharing testimonies of how God has used growth groups to just help their spiritual walk and meeting and knowing and following Jesus, and how discipleship totally happens in meaningful relationships. And so it's going to be a special time. I invite the whole church to come and hear. Next Sunday, we're going to be talking about the parable of Jesus speaking about life after death. You know, there's so many great movies out there that have these concepts. What does it look like when we die? What does it look like when we die? Next Sunday, we're going to be looking at a parable that Jesus gives about what is it like after we die. Powerful. God bless you, Woodbridge. Hope you're having a good week this week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Take care.